You ever notice how sometimes the quietest person in the room is actually the most dangerous one? I mean, you think you've got the whole place figured out. Who's in charge? Who's just filling out paperwork? Who's making the coffee runs? And then, one day, it all flips upside down and you realize you never saw the real story, not even once. That's pretty much how it all went down with Sarah Harper, though nobody around here called her that at first. Most folks just called her the coffee girl, if they even bothered with a name. She worked at Forward Operating Base Echo, out in the dust and heat, always wearing that old baseball cap pulled low, moving quiet, never making waves. Her job? Logistics, coffee service, filing papers, nothing that'd make the highlight reel, nothing heroic, nothing worth a second glance if you weren't paying real close attention. You know what I mean? She was everywhere and nowhere at the same time, like some background melody you only notice when it's suddenly gone. Nobody asked her about her past. Nobody cared why she always seemed to know where every piece of gear ought to go, or why her supply crates were stacked in such a way that, in a real firefight, you'd have exactly what you needed at arm's reach. Most people thought she was just, well, a bit of an odd duck. Maybe watched too many war movies. And I'll tell you, some folks were downright cruel about it. Young officers would crack jokes behind her back, saying she must be hiding from real military duty. Just another one here for the pay and the perks, not the danger. Those little comments cut deeper than they knew, but Sarah never flinched, never barked back. She just pulled that cap lower, kept walking, did her job. There was this one time, during a big briefing, she got called up by mistake, just delivering some documents, and the duty officer chewed her out in front of everyone. "What are you doing here? Who let support staff into a restricted area?" He made sure the whole room saw it, and every eye turned to her like she'd broken some holy rule. She apologized, ducked out, didn't defend herself, and I swear, her face burned red, but her voice never trembled. What nobody in that room knew, what almost nobody anywhere knew, was 3 years earlier, Sarah Harper was somebody else entirely. Ghost Viper, they used to call her, back before everything went wrong. She commanded a Black Ops unit, did missions so classified the files were burned after the debrief, led good soldiers right up until the one night it all went to hell. Lost her whole team, mission wiped from the records, and she blamed herself so hard she disappeared from the world. The woman who was once the baddest of the bad now served coffee as penance, hiding in plain sight. But old habits die hard, and there were moments, little cracks in the armor, when you could see the soldier underneath. She'd hear a tactical plan and wince at the oversight, see a patrol route and mutter about blind spots nobody else noticed. Some old sergeants picked up on it. There was something about the way she arranged ammo, the way she stood, that said she'd seen real fire, but they just shrugged and figured maybe she was a bit intense for a logistics clerk. One day, they gave her a miserable assignment for hours on foot, no vehicle, up winding mountain roads just to deliver some files to the forward post. The sun was beating down, terrain was rough, but nobody cared. When she got there, the same officers who'd made fun of her started in again. "Hey, Ghost Viper, you remember how to count ammo?" And coffee girls lost again. They didn't realize the name Ghost Viper had once made hardened criminals shake in their boots. To them, it was just a cruel joke spray painted on an old Jeep. But that night, everything changed. Recon patrol ambushed, 15 miles out, radio silence, no time for bureaucracy. Sarah was in the comms room when the distress came in. She watched the officers freeze, hesitate, check protocols. Soldiers were out there dying, and all anyone wanted to do was fill out forms. Something inside her snapped. She slipped out without a word, suited up in gear nobody knew she still had, and moved through the night like a ghost. 14 minutes, that's all it took her to cross terrain that'd break most rookies. The rescue was surgical, like watching a legend step out of the mist. By the time backup arrived, enemy forces were wrecked and the patrol was safe, but nobody knew who'd pulled it off. That was the thing about Sarah, she never stuck around for applause. But back at base, enemy radio chatter got picked up, and a voice, trembling with fear, broadcast to everyone listening. "Ghost Viper is active in the sector." That was Hassan Klav, or criminal, the kind of monster you hope never learns your name. But he knew hers. Every officer froze. Suddenly, everyone wanted to know who the hell the coffee girl really was. The commander accessed files so classified he needed an admiral's clearance. There it was, Major Sarah Harper, Ghost Viper, missing in action, presumed dead after Operation Blackwater. 11 hostage rescues, 17 high-value targets, 0 failures, until the day she lost her team. She crawled out of that hell alive, but disappeared into the shadows rather than face the families of the soldiers she couldn't save. They found her, brought her in. The commander didn't sit behind his desk, didn't lecture. He stood up and saluted, one of those crisp, respectful salutes you only see in the movies. On behalf of this command, I apologize for the disrespect you've endured. And for the first time, Sarah looked him in the eye and said, I didn't want to be recognized, sir. I wanted to disappear. But the thing is, legends don't get to choose when they're remembered. Hassan knew she was alive. The enemy was on the move. The commander told her straight. She was a target now, and there was no more hiding. He let her know that her final mission wasn't her fault. A traitor inside had set the team up. Sarah tried to shoulder the blame anyway, but he stopped her. 47 hostages lived because you made the right call under impossible circumstances. That's what leaders do. They carry the weight. Then, something I'll never forget, the young lieutenant who'd mocked her came in, red-faced, stammering apologies. The commander laid it out. Major Harper had more decorations than anyone here, had saved more lives than most folks could count. Sarah told him, next time, ask someone where they've been, not what they're doing here. Experience teaches lessons no training ever will. The next morning, everything felt different. On her workstation, someone left a brand new Phoenix patch, gold on black, her old unit, her name, her real rank. The men had chipped in, wanting to honor who she really was. They asked her to train them, basic tactics, situational awareness, whatever she could teach. And as the room filled, even the old duty officer stood up to apologize, offering to buy her coffee as a sign of respect. Sarah accepted, not for redemption, but because the best way to honor the fallen is to make sure no one else has to fall the same way. Her training became legend. 6 months later, the base was a different place. Soldiers looked out for each other, learned to see beyond uniforms and rank, learned that some stories run deeper than scars or silence. The young lieutenant led missions now with a kind of wisdom that came from humility. The old duty officer became one of Sarah's most dedicated students. And Sarah still served coffee every morning, not because she had to, but because she wanted to, turning the mess hall into a place where stories and respect were shared with every cup. One day, a new recruit asked her, how do you spot someone's true capabilities when they're trying to stay hidden? She smiled and said, you don't look at what someone's doing, you look at how they do it. Excellence has a signature, even when someone's trying to disappear. Her biggest lesson? Everybody's got a story you can't see, victories celebrated in silence, wounds nobody talks about. Before judging, ask yourself, what don't I know about this person? That tradition changed everything at Echo.I in the end. Sarah Harper, Ghost Viper, taught everyone that healing isn't about hiding. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is step out of the shadows, not for yourself, but so you can help others find their light. And I gotta ask you, what's more important, the recognition you get, or the difference you make when nobody's watching? Drop your thoughts below. In a world full of noise, maybe real valor is what walks right beside us, unnoticed, changing everything anyway.